Very important to note that Mozambique is a Portuguese-speaking country, which means their applications are adjudicated in Portuguese. We have had so much experience with companies who don't adequately prepare for the time it takes to have documents translated into Portuguese. The process in and of itself is also not straightforward.
Good day, I'm Jacob Ritz, Head of Immigration at Expat Web.
Hi, I'm Kerry Culver, a Senior Immigration Consultant at Expat Web. Today we will be discussing the Mozambican work visa process and delving into what that looks like for companies that are looking to either employ foreign nationals into Mozambique or companies looking to send foreign nationals into Mozambique.
Good. Kerry, can you explain to us, Mozambique is known for having particularly stringent requirements for work authorization. To start us off, could you walk us through the process for obtaining a short-term work visa, specifically in the context of sending technicians into Mozambique?
Absolutely. So you are correct in noting that Mozambique has a stringent process. For a short-term work visa, it is a 3-stage process, and it's very important to note that whether you are sending an applicant into Mozambique for 4 days or 3 months, it remains a 3-stage process. So the first step is obtaining work authorization from the relevant ministry to allow that foreign national to come into Mozambique. Once you have that work authorization letter, the applicant then applies for a work visa in their home country, and that'll either be through the embassy or the consulate, depending on what country they are coming from. Once they have the work visa endorsed into their passport, they will enter Mozambique, and then they are required to extend that work visa to the original validity that was requested. So again, I want to reiterate, whether you are sending somebody into Mozambique for 1 week or 9 weeks, the process remains the same. It is a 3-stage process for a short-term work visa.
I understand that Mozambique operates on a quota system. Does this system also apply to short-term assignments?
Thankfully not. We are going to talk about quotas, I'm sure, in the session, but for a short-term work visa, a quota does not apply.
Okay. Could you explain how the quota system works in practice?
Absolutely. So the quota system is designed to prioritize local employment, and it does this by limiting the number of foreign nationals that a company can employ. Generally, this is based on a percentage of the local workforce, and that exact percentage can be found on the Expat Web website, but essentially it is a 1-to-10 ratio. For every 10 locals that a Mozambican company employs, they can have 1 foreign national under their employment.
Now that we have a clear understanding of the quota system, how does a company approach long-term assignments in Mozambique?
Yaku, I want to start off by saying it is not a simple process. Again, it is that 3-stage process, and that is going to be dependent on whether an application is referred to as in-quota or out-of-quota. What that means is, let's say ABC Consulting in Mozambique has 10 local employees and they want to employ 1 foreigner. Their application will then be applied for in-quota, meaning they are not exceeding the number of foreign nationals that they are allowed to employ. If ABC Consulting have 10 local employees and they are looking to bring in two foreign nationals, the application is then considered out of quota. When we apply in quota, it is a notification to the ministry to say, we are applying, we are using our 1 quota, please provide the relevant authorization. When we apply out of quota, it is more of an application rather than a notification. And that application is to then explain why an additional foreign national is required for that position. So those are the 2 ways in which we can apply for phase 1 of the long-term work permit. back to my previous point, phase 1 is going to be determining whether we are applying in-quota or out-of-quota. In either of those two scenarios, you will receive a work authorization letter from the relevant ministry in Mozambique. Once you have that work authorization letter, we can then prepare an application for a long-term work visa. Once again, that work visa is applied for in the applicant's home country at either the embassy or the consulate general. Similar to the short-term work visa process. Once you have your work authorization, you can then apply for your work visa. The work visa will be issued for a set period or a set number of days. You are then authorized to enter Mozambique within that period endorsed on your visa, where you can then apply for the extension of up to 2 years. A long-term work visa for Mozambique is generally issued for a period of up to 2 years. It is renewable, however, that is solely dependent on the circumstances at the time of renewal.
Based on your experience, what are the most common challenges companies face when applying for work authorization in Mozambique?
Very important to note that Mozambique is a Portuguese-speaking country, which means their applications are adjudicated in Portuguese. We have had so much experience with companies who don't adequately prepare for the time it takes to have documents translated into Portuguese. The process in and of itself is also not straightforward. We've seen in the past, and how we've assisted clients is we really try and manage the process in the order of how things are going to take place. It's important to note, Yaku, from the onset that the Mozambican process is not a simple one. All documentation must be translated into Portuguese. There are government fees applicable, and time management is extremely important. Phase 1 of the process generally takes about 2 to 4 weeks from the date of submission. Once you have that work authorization, we then facilitate the work visa application, which can take approximately 30 days. Once you have that work visa and you enter Mozambique, the extension of that visa must then take place. So there are a lot of time considerations when deploying staff into Mozambique. This is generally not considered as the project needs to start next month and we need to get guys in. It really needs to be long-term planning, and I think that's where we see a lot of people fall short. One thing I would also like to note is that if you are sending people into Mozambique as part of a project or a subcontractor project, there are a number of documents that are required from the company in Mozambique, and those documents are also required to be apostilled and stamped. Again, this can also take time. So just to sort of finish off is, I think on that note to close out, the most important factor to consider for Mozambican work permits is time management and making sure that you are taking the right steps at the right time.
Thank you, Gary, for giving us this insight on the Mozambican work authorization and the short-term and long-term permits. If you require any further assistance or information on this process, please reach out to us at contact@expatweb.com or follow us on our social media pages, expatweb. Thank you so much.